Well, hello, and welcome back to another scary episode of Ghost Stories Told from the South. I am your host, Stephen LeBooth, and I got some scary stuff for you today. Well. How is everybody doing out there in scary podcast land? I'm doing pretty good. I am your host, like I said, Stephen Booth, and another great edition of Ghost Stories Told from the South, guys. Hope everybody's doing great. I'm doing great. And yeah, man, ready for a good show, excited. Since springtime's coming, I'm doing like haunted rivers and creeks for a little bit. And then around summertime, I might go back to just doing some other stuff. I like changing it up like this, though. I don't always like doing the same thing like houses, asylums. I kind of like, going around, doing this, doing that. All right. Well, I just want to say thank you, guys. Podcast keeps growing little by little. And like I said, you can say, oh, that ain't much movement. But it is to me because, I do this from my house. I don't have any sponsors or nothing. I pay for everything. I do everything myself. So I think I do a pretty good, decent show for doing everything. And, it's kind of cool. I'm getting people are listening around the world. So Germany's kicking it. Canada is. Brazil's coming on. Spain, New Zealand. There's, like I said, some other ones. But I don't want to save all that juice. Oh, and I already said Germany. But we're going to save all that when I do the episode 150, guys, because that'll mark the 3 years. All right. So, like I said, we're going to do rivers. These rivers aren't in any particular area. They're kind of scattered around the East Coast, it looks like. But, yeah. So if you guys are ready, I'm ready. And hope you're ready. Like always, guys, find you a nice warm blanket. Find you some cocoa or coffee. Or a little whiskey in your coffee if you want to. Snuggle up by the fire. Turn the lights down low. We're going to get a little scary. Our first one we're going to do today, guys, is the Tombigbee River. And it's in Mississippi and Alabama. I think this one might be the border or something. I'm not for sure. I didn't check the location out. I should have. Okay, well, this right here is first off. Now, this is going to be telling different stories all up and down the river on the Alabama side. So that's why there's different stories, because these all happen right by the river. And it starts out with a person who has written books on the places there and all that. So, all right, guys, y'all ready? Got a drink. And we are ready to go. The Tombigbee River. There are a few rivers in the U.S. that are more ominous for anglers than the Tombigbee River. According to locals, when the light is dim or the weather is especially cold, the ghost ship of Eliza Battle stalks the waters. Seeing this ship is a very bad omen indeed for the Eliza. Is said to warn impending disasters. So supposedly you see this before danger happens. The steamboat itself was destroyed during a fire on the river in 1858, killing 33 people and injuring countless more among its passengers and crew. It is considered one of the deadliest accidents to ever taken place on the river. But that did not stop numerous sightings of ship decades later. It is said that the ship only appears in winter nights engulfed in flames with the screams of the burning inside. The appearance of the ship is an omen of similar disasters befalling those who see it. Okay, that's one little story I found, and it's probably going to talk about that steamboat again, but going more um, diving more into it, I think. Okay, here we go. Catherine Tucker Whittingham and Margaret Gills Vaughn are known among many Alabamians for their book 13 Alabama Ghost and Jeffrey. First published in 1969, this book has been so well loved by its readers that it recently appeared again as a 2014 anyways, it was rediscovered again in 2014 like a special edition. The reason for this book's success is evident. The tales are creepy and they are very close to home. One tale in particular, the Phantom Steamboat of the Tombigbee, is scary because it was based on a historical tragedy, which is kind of true. Because when I hear like just regular old ghost stories, something made up, it don't get me as bad. But when they say it's based on true events and truth, that kind of makes it more scarier for me because that shit really happened. Okay, this we know, the Eliza Battle. The phantom vessel of legend did exist according to Rufus Ward, author of the Tombigbee River Steamboat's Rolladors, Deadheads, and Sidewheelers. The Eliza Battle was a side-wheel steamboat that weighed 315 tons. She had a reputation for great quality and great size among the steamboats of the upper Tombigbee trade. The Eliza Battle left her history behind in several records, including the documentation of a lawsuit and the stories of a time the craft caught fire but survived. So the people died, but the boat made it. That's crazy. This escape, however, was not a feat that could be repeated. On March 1st in 1858, the sighting was that we would expect from a ghost story's origin. A dark and stormy night on the stretch of the Tombigbee River by Kemp's Landing. Once again, the Eliza Battle caught fire. The cause is uncertain. There are rumors that a robber lit the blaze, but the most likely cause was sparks eliminated by a passing steamboat that ignited the cotton the battle was transporting. Yeah, because back then they used their steamboats a lot in these rivers to transport goods. The fire pumps that saved the ship previously were powerless on this tragic night. As the fire spread and destroyed the steering mechanisms, passengers abandoned ship by freezing to death in the cold water in the trees as they waited for help. Our knowledge of this tragedy comes mainly from the survivor stories in the newspaper articles from around the world. The numerous accounts vary, but they make it clear that the Eliza Battle disaster captured the attention and the imitation of people everywhere. It can be no surprise that a ghost story about the steamboat began to circulate. Okay. As 13 Ghosts and Jeffrey relates, people close to the Tombigbee River, excuse me, sometimes hears music drifting towards them from the water, often accompanied by screams of people begging for rescue. Some people even see the ghost of Eliza Battle floating down the river towards its never reached destination of Mobile. It's certainly a chilling tale, perhaps even more as since all the events leading up to the Phantom Steamboat appearance were so horrific. Perhaps it is the fact that the ghost story was born of a true story that makes it so frightening. But where does the line between fact and fantasy fall? That's for you to decide. All right. Next, we're going to talk about a place called Bluff Hall. Bluff Hall was built in 1832 and purchased. Now, this is another place, but it's right on the river. It was built in 1832 and purchased by the Marengo County Historical Society in 1967. Has had a number of owners. In this book, Brown interviewed one woman who decided to see if the ghost stories surrounding the property were true. In 2013, on the night before Halloween, the woman took her daughter and her daughter's friends to spend the night. As the night approached, Brown said they heard what sounded like a girl jumping rope. Later that night, after her daughter and their friend were asleep, the woman decided to investigate on her own, and she confronted for herself the ghostly reputation of Bluff Hall. She looked down and saw a little boy standing next to her. Brown said he went to say that the woman told him she was concerned rather than afraid, because the young boy seemed to be searching for something. He went on to say that the woman told him, she was concerned, for something. She was downstairs and sat down, only to see the young boy out of the corner of her eye again. This time he was staring out of the window. Brown explained that the little boy was the grandson of the original owners, Francis Stroter Lynn, and his wife Sarah. The boy got scarlet fever while visiting his grandparents, while his mother stayed in New York to give birth. During his illness, the little boy kept hoping for his mother to come and save him, but she did not make it in time. Apparently, the little boy's ghost hangs around looking for his mother, Brown said, adding, "It's a very sad little story." All right, we got one more little story here. This one's it's another mansion on the river, and this one's called Gaineswood Mansion. Gaineswood ghost is more famous, Brown said, citing Catherine's Tucker Wyndham's featuring it in her book, The 13 Ghosts of Alabama, and Jeffrey as the reason. Gaines Mansion was built by General Brian Whitfield, whose wife died before construction was complete in the mid-1800s. Needing someone to care for his children, Whitefield hired a nanny, known only as Miss Carter, from Virginia. Living so far away from her family, Carter became depressed. So Whitefield invited her sister, Evelyn Carter, to live with them. She lived there for a few months and then she died, and no one knows how she died, Brown said. One proposed theory is that she mentioned that she was Elaine. Oh, she mentioned that Elaine fell in love with a French count, but the relationship ended after a heated argument. Elaine is said to have died of a broken heart. Emily wanted to be buried in her home state of Virginia, but she died there in the winter. The roads were impossible to travel then. Brown said that the Whitefield stored her body in the coffin in the cellar until it was time to be moved. After interviewing two workers of Gaineswood, Brown heard the real story. Whitefield hired a teacher named Elizabeth Robertson, who later became ill and died. Her coffin was stored in the Clover Mausoleum before being transported to her home in New York. So you can see how a folklore was created by these facts. Today, the sweet smell of perfume has been reported numerous times, which is thought to be Elizabeth welcoming visitors to her home. Well. That one wasn't too bad. That'd be pretty creepy, though. I think the steamboat one would be pretty cool to experience. And then going to that one mansion where the little boy haunts the place. That would be kind of creepy. All right, guys, we're going to take a little commercial break. We'll be right back. You ever look up at the sky at night and look at the stars and wonder, are we the only ones really out here?
Have you ever wondered how much our government hides from us?
Have you ever wondered why so many mysteries go unsolved? What really happens? What's the clues? What's the evidence?
Ever wonder if Bigfoot or Mothman is real?
Then, if so, come listen to this podcast called
What's Really,
Out There.
And I am your host, Stephanie Booth.
And I am
my
your
father.
co-host, Stephen Booth, Hafaja. And if you're into UFOs, unsolved murders, mysteries, unexplained stuff that happened, urban legends, we're into all of that. Conspiracy stuff too. We go dive into that. So if you're looking for a new podcast that tells that kind of stuff, then you need to listen to What's Really Out There. And we are on Spotify and iHeart and Pandora, I think. But we are pretty much on every platform. We have a YouTube channel so go check that out. It's called What's Really Out There. So come check us out. Once again, I'm your co-host, Stephen Booth.
And I'm your host, Stephanie Booth. And this is
What's Really Out There. We'll see you at the next episode, guys. All right, I'm back. Y'all ready for another one? Now, these three right here I'm fixing to do, they're all going to be really short stories. I mean, all three of these together are probably going to take me 15 minutes to read. So, sorry if this episode might be a little short, but hopefully it won't be too bad. Okay, our next one is the Red River. With a name like the Red River, it is hard to be off With a name like the Red River, it is hard not to be off-put, whichever that may. It's not hard to be off-put. Okay. What's more unsettling is that the fact that it is supposed to be haunted of the Bell Witch, a poltergeist who was here in her lair cave near the river. According to legend, the Bell Witch is a powerful entity that visited the Bell family of Adams, Tennessee. In their accounts was to be believed she would set strange invisible creatures on the way and sing hymns in the darkness. Two of the Adams men later enlisted to fight under General Andrew Jackson, who would go on to become president, and tales of a Bell Witch intrigued him, provoking the general to lead a small military detached to sniff out the witch. The legend says that Jackson's men fired in fear, although the general himself believed the witch to be a fraud. To this day, visitors say they could still hear the noises of children playing in a strange candle-like lights in the distance. Other tales talk about humanoid figures hiding among the trees and invisible creatures lurking beneath the water. There is plenty of catfish and striped bass, though, so anglers are willing to brave a few scary stories to try to catch a big fish. Okay, that's okay. Then I got some more on the Bell. Now y'all remember that story about what was it? The Conjuring of I can't remember now, but yeah, they did that story, the Bell Witch. All right, let's see. I got some more stuff to talk about here. All right, it says the cave is worth the visit, but the cabin is not. The Bell Witch tours focus around both the cave and the cabin on the former Bell Farm property. While most interviews on both Yelp and TripAdvisors are very positive regarding the cave, or trip hazards, or positive regarding the cave and the property itself. The same can be said for the cabin. After all, the cabin is merely a replica of the one that is said to have been haunted by Kate, the angry and violent Bell Witch. Therefore, it does not give visitors the same eerie feeling that the cave almost certainly does. The Bell Witch Cave is said to be home to the evil spirit within the southern folklore, which makes the attraction pretty unnerving. But the cave itself is scary enough. The cave is approximately 490 feet long and rests on the old Bell Farm property, not too far away from the cabin in which the family lived. The Bell Witch Cave is a karst cave, meaning that it is formed by the It is formed by the water dissolving the rocks like limestone and gypsum. Because water eventually with them rocks is start eating the rockway and stuff. That's how the caverns are formed. This cave is a totally unnerving look, as well as makes it a challenge to travel in it. Some reviewers on TripAdvisor claim that the walkthrough is too dangerous for them. Now we got to understand why one would want to tour the cave. One has to understand the legend of the Bell Witch consists of the haunting of the Bell family on their farm. The Bell family moved into to the farm, which sits on the Red River, in 1804. It wasn't until 1887 that the family members started seeing strange animals on their property, hearing unnerving sounds around their house. After a while, people from all over the country came to witness the hauntings, which got more severe over time. As the legend evolved, townsfolk started calling the spirit the Bell Witch. after a deceased neighbor named Kate, who had a personal vendetta against family, the family of John Bell. Eventually, John passed under mysterious circumstances connected to the spirit he said to have vanished into the cave on their property. People are obsessed with the haunted house, and even more so, the creepiest haunted towns around the United States. But Adams, Tennessee is totally the scariest by far. According to the Blair Witch Cave website, the privately owned destination is a favorite among paranormal lovers, as well as has become a major attraction for anyone in the area. So if you're ever around that area, guys, go check it out and report back to me, and tell me what you see. All right, here's our next one. These next two are going to be really short. But our next one is Rock Creek in Maryland. Also known as the Pocantico River, Maryland's Rock Creek is the source for many ghost stories. This is largely due to the water's history as a popular slave escape route, and also because of the large number of casualties in the area during the Civil War. It is said that nearly 50,000 soldiers stained the river with their red blood during the course of the battles near the river. And it's their ghost that's hunting it. Residents report seeing bodies floating on the creek and the sound of musket shots, as if there was some great battle going on. The Lagora Bridge that spans the river is also a common topic among ghost hunters. But around 1900, the bridge is famous as a teen hangout and also a notorious suicide bridge. Whoa. Numerous accidents and injuries near the structure always give it a sinister reputation, and locals say they avoid it at night. Not even the promise of trout trout will convince anglers to come here during the dark. All right, our next one. The Tar River in North Carolina. Known as a great place for large catfish and kayak fishing, the Tar River has a darker reputation as the home of a ravenous banshee. According to local legend, a miller was killed near the river by British soldiers during the Revolutionary War, and he cursed the river with his dying breath. Shortly afterwards, a banshee appeared and ripped the soldiers to shreds, going on to hunt the river for new victims. Man, that one sounds pretty crazy, but I couldn't find a lot on that one. That's the only story I could find, and I wish I could find somewhere to dive more deep into, because that one seems pretty interesting. Okay, man. Our next story is the Pocantico River in New York. The Pocantico River perhaps is most famously haunted by the body of water on the list. The Pocantico River is known best for its part in the legend of Sleepy Hollow. While the book may be a work of fiction, Nervous residents still keep an eye out for the headless horseman, who is said to ride alongside the river looking for helpless victims. Arthur Washington Irving chose the the Pocantico. Anyways, Washington. Okay, Arthur Washington Irving chose the river for the setting because of its it was so creepy and undeveloped nature at the time. Dark ruins and rumors, and here we go. And rumors and old magic hidden underneath the riverbed. Anglers, however, know the river as a great place to fish for brown and brook trout. Oh, I'm not done with the Sleepy Hollow thing now. Okay, now we've got to go over and talk about the Sleepy Hollow hauntings have been an area of interest to the paranormal investigators. All throughout history, the haunted city in New York rests upon the eastern side of the famous Hudson River. Approximately 9,000 individuals call its area home, of course. This is the number of physical living individuals. There are also rumored to be quite a few spirits that reside in the haunted New York town as well. This beautiful, quiet town received an immense amount of publicity when Washington Irving composed the tale called The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. In its guide of the paranormal, you will learn about the haunted ghost town of Sleepy Hollow, New York. I stuttered there. Did you hear that? I went, no, New York. Sleepy Hollow, as an organized town, dates all the way back to the early 1600s. Europeans discovered the area and settled their friends and relatives here. However, it was not until the Dutch arrived that it was given the original name. These settlers elected on the name Slappers Heaven. In translation, this meant Sleeper's Heaven. In the year of 1996, the town's name was officially renamed to the name that we know it today. The town is well known for its stories and recollections of residents revolving around the mysterious hauntings as well as the infamous Headless Horseman. While Irving's tale, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, was a fictional piece, it's important to understand that it was based on facts, tales, and people that are actually a part of this ghost town's haunted history. Now let's go over some of the hauntings. There are several hauntings that surround places, people, and events in the history of this town that seem to be preserved in its original state. The following represents some of these hauntings. The Sparta Cemetery. The cemetery is not looked directly in Sleepy Hollow, but it just outside of it in a place called Scarborough. If you traveled the popular Route 9, you will run into its burial ground. Visitors and those who have passed by the cemetery have claimed many unusual sightings. These sightings include mists that are completely unexplainable, as well as lights that seem to dance along the ground and float over the graves. Those who have stopped for further investigations have discovered the sounds of voices from which there is no origin in spirit. Now we're going to talk about the sunny side. While an unusual name, Sunnyside is a name for a home in Sleepy Hollow. Washington Irving took over ownership of the structure in the year of 1835. At the time, it was nothing more than a small, ordinary cottage. He and his family worked hard to renovate the structure and took great pride in the final project. This home is a beautiful design structure that sits on the bank of the river, the Hudson to be exact. You can get a good look at the river by a small secret path that leads from the home to the banks of the river. It has been said that the apparitions have been appeared doing various tasks. It is believed that niece of Irving the nieces of Irving are often seen playing around up by the home. Many have claimed to have seen Irving himself. Now the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. If you would like to visit the grave of the famous Washington Irving, you can do so at the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, where you can also discover the final resting places of the following famous individuals: Andrew Carnegie, William Rockefeller. Well, we got to thank him for a lot. Yeah, rich bastard. Anyways, Walter Chrysler, another rich bastard. And even the notable Elizabeth Arden. It has been said on more than one occasion that an apparition has been seen among the graves. Many who have walked through the cemetery often express the fact that they hear silent whispering which cannot be explained. The Old Dutch Church and Burial Ground. The burial grounds are located at the Old Dutch Church, are said to be among one of the oldest ones in all the United States. It is said that the popular headless horseman can be clearly seen making his route through and around those burial grounds. When visiting her, you can see some very popular names of the gravestones. These include Eleanor Van Tasselbrosh, who Washington Irving used a personal called Katrina from his story. Abraham Marling, who was reflected as the character Bob Bones, can also be discovered here. And the last one is Patriots Park. If you go to the area that is between the cities of Sleepy Hollow and Tarrytown, you will discover a park. During the American Revolutionary War, the Americans captured a soldier that was of Hessian descent. He was immediately executed by way of hanging. An apparition that lacks a head is often said to linger through the park grounds. Irving took this legend of the soldier that is the headless horseman for his tale. So that's where he got the name for the headless horseman, because there really is a guy there without a head, because when he got hung, his head popped right off. That'd be messed up. Well, guys, sorry this one was a little too short, but I had fun. It was a great show, and I will see y'all next week, baby. It's getting closer to our 3-year anniversary. Just want to give a shout out to everybody who listens, everybody who downloads. I'm going to be working for the next couple of days really hard on getting the YouTube page caught up. And episode 150 will be a video. And after that, I'm going to start doing videos too all the time. So I need to do more of them for my YouTube channel. But go check us out. You can check this podcast out on any platform, ladies and gentlemen. And our YouTube channel is Ghost Stories Told from the South. Go check us out on Facebook, Ghost Stories Told from the South. Like I said, if y'all got any stories, send them to me. I'll talk about them, or something y'all want me to look up. But this has been Stephen LeBooth from Ghost Stories Told from the South. And we will see you later. Sorry about that. I was doing that voice and I freaking burped right on the mic. I'm so sorry. But I'll see you guys later, man. And you girls. See you later, guys. Bye.